Hi everyone, I want to share my highlights from the PTR testing with the Whirlwind Barbarian that I've done here a few days ago. I've already shown the Leapquake and the Frenzy Barbarian, which all perform at almost an equal level with Whirlwind Barbarian for solo speed farming. So I've been doing GR110 on all three builds in roughly 3 minutes, plus minus, and it seems like you can just choose any of the three if you're focused on solo farming. They all work really well. It especially works on these runs where you do it in roughly this time, because you don't want to spend too much time on an elite. You don't really want to lose your squirt stacks and all that. So if you go higher and higher, you can really feel that some of the elites will take quite long and the Rift Guardian will take quite long with the Whirlwind. So if you want to go beyond that and do slower runs on a higher tier, Frenzy is usually the way to go because of the super fast stricken stacking in that build. But for the typical speed farming scenario, anything works fine, and overall I would consider Whirlwind the most noob friendly and the easiest to play, but it is not necessarily better than the other two builds. It definitely has the higher solo pushing potential just because it's Whirlwind, so you have the Rage Flip in there for solo pushing, which makes this build extremely strong. In fact, it has actually cleared GR150 solo in season 23, so it will do that next time around quite easily with this big ethereal weapon, the Grandfather. You're actually whirling around with a two-handed weapon on this build, which feels absolutely amazing, and it's super fun to do that with this huge weapon in hand and obliterating everything with your rends and the big blah blah explosions. So the overall build doesn't really change very much. You just equip this two-handed weapon and it needs to have either Messerschmitt's Reaver or the Amber's Pride power, and then you cube the other one. And typically in the past you used something like Aching Fury to go with it as a dual wielding setup, or the Bouquet of Swords or the Isvan's Blades, depending on if you want to have it a bit more convenient or not. Both of these set weapons are not available as ethereals, so you have to go with this Grandfather. There are also some one-handed weapons on the Barb, but they seem quite a lot weaker, and there's not really any second weapon required. You could do something like a really fast setup. There's actually a one-handed weapon that gives you movement speed when you kill an elite pack, and then you could put something like Ingeum or Aching Fury there again, or even a Furnace. So this might be something to consider for T16 farming when you don't really need that much damage. But for the most part, the Grandfather is just like this huge weapon. And the good part is, since it's two-handed, it's slightly slower and you don't really spend so much fury running around through nothing, so that you don't really run out of resources at all times. I do have an old build guide for this already, and since nothing really changed besides the ethereals, you can just go check that out. We also have one on Maxroll. I have a D3 planner here. So in general, just stack a bit of cooldown reduction, keep up your cooldowns like the Wrath of the Berserker especially, activate your buffs at all times, for example the Band of Might with a ground stomp or with a charge, and other than that you just whirl around and kill stuff. In pushing, you also want to use manual rends for the area damage, but for farming this is absolutely not required at all. So this is how the build works in short. On the high tiers you will start noticing you're not really doing that much damage compared to other builds, but you have the advantage of Rage Flip to create massive density. So in general you fish for insanely dense, huge maps like battlefields or Festering Woods, get a big conduit to kill all the elites, and the rest you do on your own just by whirling around and basically putting the entire map together in one place. So in general, exciting times ahead for solo barbarians especially. It's not group viable, but definitely quite strong and quite good for solo farming. I've compared this to some other top solo builds, something like Gaudy Age, where I was just doing 5 tiers higher, not very much. And in groups, at least you will have your dedicated support spot in almost any setup as a barbarian. So this is a great part about it. You can always fit in, and everyone would like to have you anyway. And this is also about it for this video. So I might update my guide for this, we'll see, but for now the build works pretty much similar to the past, just that some of the speed variations are a bit different since you drop your offhand. But it is definitely really cool going around with this two-handed weapon. It really reminds of the Inferno times back in Vanilla Diablo 3. So hope you enjoyed this little video, and see you guys next time.